A status report on the teaching of evolution in schools a decade after the issue boiled over in Kansas. 5 players on evolution's front lines join us and take your calls straight ahead on KCPT.
This program is a project of KC Science, Inc. and is supported by a grant from the Partnership for a Nation of Learners, museums, libraries, and public broadcasting. Joining forces, creating value.
I believe there is an intelligent design. In the beginning, God created.
Saying that you don't believe in evolution is almost saying we don't believe that the Civil War ever took place in the United States.
An extraordinary court case.
What is intelligent design?
Ignites a small town.
It's like a civil war within the community, there's no question.
And puts science itself on trial.
Very important things were at stake. One is the future of science education in this country.
For the past 2 hours, you've been watching Judgment Day, an exhaustive look at one of the latest battles in the war over evolution in the tiny town of Dover, Pennsylvania. Now head closer to home as we explore 10 years of living with the evolution controversy in Kansas. How much has really changed in the way we teach science in our schools? Have we learned anything from the polarized debate? And for all the passion and angry words, does this conflict over science have any measurable impact on your life and the lives of your children and grandchildren? We tackle those questions and take your calls. It's Evolution on the Front Lines, next. Hello, I'm Nick Haines. Thank you for joining us. 10 years ago this month, the Kansas City Star reported on what they believed was a new trend starting in Kansas. They profiled an Olathe man pushing for the inclusion of rival theories to evolution in Kansas classrooms. Now schools in different parts of Kansas had been hearing that from parents over the years, but they were never taken particularly seriously. But Kevin Gilmore's views carried considerable significance. He happened to be chairman of the Kansas State Board of Education. Within 2 years, Kansas was making headlines around the world.
Proponents of intelligent design believe that evolution, Darwinism, is incomplete.
You're not intelligent enough to dismiss the idea that there might be an intelligent design in the creation of the world.
The latest front line in America's culture war between scientific theory and religious belief.
And there's controversy tonight over the origin of life and how to teach it in school. A decision by officials in Kansas could have repercussions across the country.
Governor Bill Graves called this modest proposal a tragic, terrible, embarrassing solution to a problem that did not have to exist. He wasn't alone in his hysteria.
It just simply threw a frightful panic into the science educators, the Darwinian establishment, and the newspaper editorialists. Thundering denunciations came from all the big cities and from Europe, from London. You would think that the newspaper editors in all those cities had nothing more to worry about than the details of curriculum in the high schools of Kansas.
Governor Graves and I obviously disagree on that, and I believe his proposal...
Controversy from 2 opinion documentaries, A Flock of Dodos and The Triumph of Design, featuring University of California, Berkeley professor Philip Johnson in that last clip. With us now are 5 players who are among the closest to how this issue has played out in a very practical way. They're on front lines of the teaching of evolution in our area. John Calvert provides legal counsel to school boards, school administrators and science teachers here and around the country regarding the teaching of evolution. He is managing director of the Intelligent Design Network, a non-profit organization that says it wants to see objectivity in origin science. Eric Kessler is a biology teacher at Blue Valley North High School. Earlier this month, he was presented with the National Education Award, which summed up as the Oscar of teaching. He has been teaching kids science for 16 years. Scott McQuarrie teaches 8th grade science in the Independence School District in Missouri. His insights are important because you never seem to hear about the issue of evolution in the Show Me State. It always seems to be Kansas. We'll be talking about that. Steve Case spent 16 years teaching science in the Olathe School District. Dr. Case is now assistant director of the Center for Science Education at KU. He has helped write school science standards in Kansas and is the former chair of the State Science Curriculum Committee. And Greg Lassie has been a public school science teacher for 30 years, mostly at the middle school level. Before retiring last year, he taught biology at Lyons High School in central Kansas. Greg was co-author of the State Science Standards in 2005 that took a more critical view of the teaching of evolution in Kansas classrooms. And later, We'll be taking your calls, but given the volume of people we always get on this topic, we'll be taking questions only, ladies and gentlemen. No commentaries and long political statements, please. Now, it's been a long time, though, since most of us stepped foot inside a school, never mind a science classroom. Eric, help us out here, first of all. How much time in an average week in a high school like Blue Valley would a student even spend in a science class?
Okay, most of the students in Blue Valley school districts in high school grades have 7 courses during the day, and probably of those 7 courses, one of those may be a science course during the course of a single day.
And if you think about that, with all of the topics you have to cover in the area that is called science, how much does evolution take up in all of that?
In terms of my particular curriculum, or what I teach in my classroom, it takes up in freshman biology courses about 25% of what I teach. 25%. Is that your experience in the independent school district, Scott?
I'm a little bit different. I teach at the middle level. My curriculum is of course, a little bit different than the high school level. Sure. But I'm teaching approximately 1/2 of my year in the biological sciences, and about 1/3 of that would be spent focusing predominantly on some form of evolutionary theory.
Now, you've been, Eric, in the Blue Valley School District for 13 years?
16.
16 years. So you've been there since the very beginning when this controversy was boiling up in Kansas. Sure. Has your teaching of evolution changed at all during that period of time?
Not really. Not in the sense of the controversy actually affecting my teaching in any major way. When the battle first began, I guess, in the state, and the questions over the state standards became an issue, our local school board had science standards that were based on the national science standards, which included evolution as a topic of discussion, and so our local school board was very much in support of what we were doing, and you know, it hasn't really changed that much, I guess.
Greg, 30 years teaching science, mainly at the middle school level, but you ended up just before retirement teaching at the high school level. Did it really change, you know, from 10 years ago to today?
Well, at the high school level, which I only did 1 year, as you say, most of my experience was at the middle school level. It wasn't much of an issue at the middle school level, but at the high school, you know, there was some concern registered regarding how this new teacher that came in was going to deal with this issue, and but it wasn't an intense pressure or anything like that. I covered the subject, and it's interesting because most responses are somewhat, you know, the students to things are pretty just routine, but when you brought this issue up, instantly you could feel emotion and an intensity raised with the students' interest in this topic, and so teachers need to be prepared to deal with that, because they're going to, you know, it's unavoidable. They're going to bring their own worldviews in with them regarding this issue.
I want to talk about how this is taught in just a second, but let's take a quick look at the timeline here on how this issue has gone in Kansas. In 1995, the Kansas State Board of Education votes to emphasize the teaching of evolution. In 1999, a new board reverses that decision. In 2005, a conservative-led board approves adding intelligent design language to state science standards. And in February 2007, a new moderate-led board reverses course yet again. Some major pendulum shifts there. But you tell the Kansas City Star, John, this is not over.